Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The current U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East is to maintain security in the region, confront, discredit, and defeat Islamic terrorism and ideology, and prevent the spread to the U.S., and ensure the focus on Iran and nuclear proliferation to deter Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons. As the former President of the United States, Mr. Trump, stated, "We are faced with rogue nations developing nuclear weapons, which threaten the region and the entire world. Radical Islamic terrorist groups causing destruction and chaos in the Middle East and radicalizing splinter groups globally. The U.S. is renewing relationships in the Middle East and making new long-lasting commitments to fight terrorist aggression and to return the region to a prosperous and peaceful space. The days of unfair trading practices and unchecked foreign economic aggression in the region will come to a halt. This can only be attained and sustained by our attention and presence in the region, only by the invited and welcomed embrace of the countries of Israel, Bahrain, Egypt, Jordan, the United Arab Emirates, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Oman, and any others desiring to join the network of strength, security, and prosperity." The recently signed Abraham Accords are historic and key. They have brought a long overdue coalition and politically recognized partnership with Israel between the important countries of Bahrain and the UAE, joining welcoming company of Egypt and Jordan. Many more countries are welcomed and anticipated to follow. As the current U.S. policy in respect to the Middle East is incredibly effective and robust, our relationships must continue to be attended to ensure the goals of detracting and deflecting our resources, countering Russian and Chinese global expansion, are not drained. The improvements in relations between Israel, UAE, Bahrain, Egypt, and Jordan help cement our network of nations and the incredible peace and prosperity which can be achieved through Israel's unwavering cooperation to make a better peace, to make a better future for everyone in the region. It goes without saying, the trading practices of nations such as Russia and China have been drawing closer in comparison to other trade partners, but not for the betterment of the nations involved. The Iranian, Russian, and Chinese influences in the region come with enormous security, financial, and political trade-offs. Iran is becoming incredibly influential in ways expected by the geography, but not for the positive reasons required for peace. China brings development and investment to the region in the form of communications and technological infrastructure, but with trade-offs. China ensures information sharing and technological proprietary resources are adhered to. Russia, in turn, offers weapons sales to Syria and Iran, even to NATO-allied Turkey, to threaten the region and cause concern for peace. We must also look at the joint course of action plan to determine collectively with our Middle Eastern allies the continuance or pulling completely out of the plan, and how to ensure Iran can meet public electrical needs, but not nuclear weapons platform development. The U.S. policy options and vision for the future require continued strong political relations with Israel, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, UAE, and Bahrain. There must be continued economic investment and development from the U.S. and from free, democratic nations in the region to not only compel but encourage U.S. and Western technology, innovation, and investment, essentially sucking the economic air away from Russia and China. Finally, the U.S. needs to continue military sales of arms to allies and keep a military presence in the Middle East, in areas agreed to and encouraged by the nation's government and citizens. These policy options provide a double-edged sword towards Russia, China, and Iran. This approach will counter the expansion of Russia and China in the Middle East, ensure protection for information gathering by the nations at the expense of cheap communications and technological upgrades. The recommended course of action for the U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East is to continue to strengthen the Abraham Accords, continue to strengthen and shepherd political relationships with Israel, providing confidence for stability and security. The deterrence of Iran's nuclear weapons development and caustic reach and influence into Syria, Iraq, and other Middle Eastern nations is enhanced by this action of the network of nations. The U.S. investment in the Middle East will ensure development, trade, and prosperity. The continued welcomed presence of the U.S. military will serve to protect and provide the peaceful deterrence of the long-lasting commitment to global security and progress. There are no reasons why our U.S. embassies, our U.S. bases, and our host nation and coalition outposts cannot have and enjoy the investment, stability, and permanency as our European and Asian presence. The U.S. presence will deter and any further encroachment by China, Russia, and Iran. This course of action will be a mutual effort with the Middle East fully invested in the goals recommended for their future and for their respective nations, citizens, and for generations to come. This recommended course of action will garner continued peace, security, and prosperity to the U.S. and exceed every national security priority. Thank you.